What is up, ladies and gentlemen? And today I want to talk about the ending scene or the ending of Mass Effect 1 here because this is the reason why I loved the Mass Effect series so far. Playing through 1 and then eventually playing through 2. But this is about Mass Effect 1 in particular. And the reason is because when I played this game initially for the very first time on my PlayStation 3 years ago, I was taken aback from this game at first. But however, when I finally finished the first game, maybe I would say 3 times already through the Legendary Edition through the backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 5, I would have to say that this game is nothing but utter amazing. With its storytelling, with its story-driven NPC interaction and progression and vice versa, this game really shows of what a true native type of action-adventure RPG should be like when it comes to story progression and with everything that really resolves around this game itself. And that's what makes this game really utterly most unique, in my personal opinion. But however, I think when it comes to Mass Effect 1, not just from the beginning to end, it's the game, how it's this game that really represents itself as one of the most perfect ideas coming to task when it comes to bringing a universe like the Mass Effect series. Because, as I'm saying right now, is that I'm actually currently still playing through Mass Effect 2. And because I am eventually going to go to Mass Effect 3, and then basically put my whole entire ideas to purpose as to what I truly think about this trilogy as a whole. So, what I want to talk about here as well, when it comes to the Mass Effect game, the very first one in general, I think this game is, like I said, it's nothing but absolutely amazing. It's stunning. I love its visual architecture and its design. I love the whole entire aspect of what really makes Mass Effect 1 as a whole being the focal crux of a story type of genre type of game. As it is, it's a third-person action-adventure role-playing game with shooting elements. And what I will say, the combat in this game it's fantastic. There is some jank, however, because this game is initially a remastered version from the original game itself. Whether if you're playing on PC, Xbox 360, or PlayStation 3. But however, this game really stands to the test of time when it comes to these types of games in general. And I think Mass Effect 1 did a lot of things that I was never really quite expecting. Like I said, with my first initial playthrough on the PlayStation 3 era days. So now, this is what I really think about this game too. This game really does an amazing job of utilizing its dependency of a game. It's everything of what this game really entails. How it provides a certain way of utilizing with some gunplay into the story. And, but it's the story itself that really stands the test of time when it comes to other games in general of comparison of that, like the Legacy of Kain series. I did this comparison not too long ago in a previous video, and that's where I was saying I think that series really does a remarkable job of storytelling as well, and that's where I think the Mass Effect trilogy does an amazing job on that too. But overall, I just think that, playing, whether if you're playing as a male shepherd or a female shepherd, I really think that this game really utilizes its own sophisticated type of way to what a true storytelling experience Mass Effect 1 really is, and how it really boils down to, and how it coincides into 2, and how 2 coincides into 3, depending on the actions that you make, or the choices that you make. And that's what really stands why I think the Mass Effect trilogy is one of the best, I would say. Even though, like I said, I have not played through 3 yet, but like I said, I will eventually play through 3. Because, like I said, I want to put my own personal opinion or take on that. But however, I think when it comes to Mass Effect 1, what I will say is that I actually recently finished this game not too long ago, again, for the 4th time. And going through the ending boss against Saren, I think with all the boss battles I have played in most recent memory of video games and video game history, I think this is definitely one of the most climactic boss battles I have ever witnessed or played. I mean, I'm sure you know, like you have Elden Ring, you have all these other newer generational of titles that do have boss battles, and you know those boss battles are climactic. There's a lot of meaning to it, but that's where I was saying when it comes to the ending of going up against Saren and Mass Effect One, really does a climactic job of showing where this franchise is going to go from Mass Effect 1 to branching out to 2, and then from 2 to 3, and that's what makes this game so fascinating. I love the progression of Saren. I think that he was definitely one of my favorite boss battles in the Mass Effect universe so far. You know, opposite that of the Shadow Broker in Mass Effect 2, I really enjoyed that boss battle, but it was very climactic though too. It was very exciting. If there was a lot of adrenaline rush there, and that's where I felt when it came to the Saren boss fight in Mass Effect 1. I think in Mass Effect 1, it was something that it felt different. It felt unique, and I love the way how you were able to utilize a certain type of degree. But it all depends on what build that you are using as well. Whether if you're a soldier, an engineer, or an adept, or an infiltrator. Now, I'm playing as an infiltrator. And what I will say is that I actually ended up playing this game for the first time back in the PS3 days, as I previously mentioned. I played as a soldier. And what I will say, the soldier is definitely overpowered. Any kind of build in this game can be overpowered, depending on how you utilize your weapons and how you utilize your powers. But point being, this just goes to show you that of what you can actually achieve and what you can be able to do with these types of builds. But point being, what I'm saying, I was just veering off topic, so my bad. Now, this is the reason why I love the boss battle or the boss fight of Saren in Mass Effect 1, because there's a lot of things that I think that really makes sense to a certain degree as to why he thought that, you know, indoctrination was important, or, you know, being able to circumventate, I don't know what, sorry about that word usage there. It all has to do with what Saren really wanted to do. He really wanted to have this indoctrination to be real, and he was indoctrinized from the Geth or from Sovereign, and it was a very interesting motive. But here's one thing there is one flaw with this problem when it comes to villainy, no matter if it's in video games, movies, or TV shows, is that, you know, there are often times where I feel like that villains are nothing but all bark and no bite. But that's what I was saying when it comes to Saren, though. He did a lot. He did talk. But what I'm saying is that he had that all bark and he had a bite. You know, he wasn't always monologuing. He was talking the way how he was supposed to talk when it comes to villains. I feel like that when it comes to villainy, and, you know, when it comes to, you know, in boss battles in general, like Saren in the first one, this really tells the difference of what a true villain should be. I always felt, like I said before, that when it comes to villainy in video games, movies, or vice versa, you know, the villains are always going to be all bite, all talk, and no bite. You know, they're monologuing. They're always talking, and they're not going to. And they always say, "This is how I'm going to kill you," and da 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 da. But that's where I was saying, it's like, this is the reason why I love Mass Effect 1 as a whole as well, because Saren was not all bark and no bite. He wasn't. He always held true to what he really wanted to do against the Citadel, against FemShep or MaleShep, you know. And that is why I think Saren was the perfect boss battle, or the perfect villain in this game, opposite that of, you know, Sovereign. You know, he wasn't really much of a boss battle, but he was another villain in this game. But however, I felt like that when it came to Saren he just represented a lot of good things about himself being as that villain, and being able to go through the conduit, you know, and, you know, summoning the Geth to attack the Citadel, which actually eventually happened in the first place. But that's where I say that this game it does have some flaws, but I'm saying when it comes to villainy, I think Saren just did a lot of things right that from other games that I never really thought were really good when it comes to villainy arcs per se, and I think that's where Mass Effect 1 just did an awesome job. It's so good. Now, I think not just because of villainy. I think when it comes to, in general, when it comes to character progression, I think the character progression with Saren was definitely one of the best I've seen as well. Opposite that of, no matter what Shepard that you play as, I love the writing in this game. I love the writing in 2, and it just goes to show you that the people that made this game, BioWare, did an excellent job on its writing, its character arc, and how they're all important to the galaxy of the Mass Effect. And that is where I think Mass Effect 1 just does a lot of things that, like I said, when I first initially played this game, I was really taken aback from this game because I'm like, I did not think I was going to like this game. I don't think I'm going to like this game at all. But then once I started playing through the whole entire game for the very first time, as I previously stated, I'm just like, holy shit, dude. This is like utterly amazing. I can't wait to get into Mass Effect 2. And that when I'm finished Mass Effect 2, that was one hell of an experience because it was the fact that I was actually able to save everybody and get the really good ending of Mass Effect 2. And that experience it initially brought me back to what the villainy arc of Saren was in the Mass Effect 1. And that's where that's why I believe that the Mass Effect 1 and 2 right now for me is one of the most pinnacle video game series I've played so far, excluding of me not playing Mass Effect 3 just yet. But I will eventually. And that's where I say this game is absolutely amazing. It's stunning. Even though, like I previously mentioned, that this game does have some control jank, but however, the controls still work. They do an amazing job how they were able to utilize the combat is a little bit better from the PlayStation 3 days because of the fact that you're able to utilize certain types of ways to use combat at your disposal because that's the focal point of this game as well. You have to use modules and vice versa, but for your weapons and armor. But point being, I'm talking about what my experience was when it came to the boss battle of Saren. Like I said, it was nothing but short of amazing. I loved it. I love the way I just love the progression of Saren. I think he was definitely one of my favorite villains in a video game series to date. Because, it's like, like I previously mentioned, I don't always normally like villains in games or movies or TV shows in general, but that is the point as to why we do have villains in certain types of media, is because, like I previously mentioned, sometimes villains just have all talk and no bark. But that's what I was saying with Saren, though. He had both of those. He had bark, he had bite, he achieved what he wanted to achieve, but towards the end of the game. But however, he actually ended up just getting eliminated because he knew I actually felt like that he knew he was going to not survive. I mean, that's why the ending of this game really provides a calm certainty as to why this game is utterly short, nothing but amazing because of its fantastical writing. And it's everything of what a game should be. I think that's where I think Mass Effect 1, I'm not saying it's any better from Mass Effect 2, but Mass Effect 2 has amazing writing as well. And coming off of Mass Effect 2, or, playing through Mass Effect 2, I could tell you that the writing in that one is that much deeper. There's more story progression involved. I wouldn't say it's a utopia, but it's a galaxy that is worth saving. I believe when it comes to games, similar to that of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning that came out a couple of years ago, and I finished that game as well. And, you did have choice and consequences. So that's why I was saying when it comes to the Mass Effect series, when I played through Mass Effect 1 and 2 at much earlier this year, I was amazed. I couldn't believe how amazing they were. And that's where I was saying these games do a magnificent job of just how everything coincides along with choice and consequences of your actions, and how those actions are going to be perceived through a different way of thinking. It's cognitive. It's kind of like cognitive dissonance a little bit, because you think you know what's going to happen, but then when something happens, when you don't, the way how it comes out, it's kind of a little bit of a clusterfuck though too, I feel, in a way. But that's what cognitive dissonance is. It's a little bit of a confusion as to, like I previously mentioned, it's something when you say that something is gonna not just happen, but when you like try to figure things out, how to, well, okay, how is this going to pay out or playing out, and how is that type of choice going to be different to the consequence that you're going to have. And that's where I was saying that's where the cognitive dissonance comes in. It's awesome. I love that. I think that's what makes this series as a whole very, very interesting and very intricately well designed as well. And that's why I was saying I think that Saren, the boss battle is, oh my god, I'm harping on this again. I cannot stop doing this, but it's awesome. And that nostalgia playing this game for the first time back on my PS3 just brings all that back. It's absolutely amazing. But overall, what I will say, I think that Mass Effect 1, it is, I would say, definitely my favorite one in this series right now, opposite that of Mass Effect 2. But playing through Mass Effect 2 is much better because, you know, the combat is more fluid. It's not as janky as Mass Effect 1 because, you know, Mass Effect 1, the jank was still there from the PS3 days or 360 days. But however, they did a much better job. They did a lot more better refinement when it comes to gameplay fluidity, the engine resolve of, you know, the cutscenes and how those cutscenes really intertwine along with some gameplay aesthetic as well. And I think that Mass Effect 1 just utilized that very, very well. I think it's very awesome to my personal opinion, and I think that's why I think this game is absolutely nothing but amazing. So what I will say is that I think if you really want to get into a series, you know, like I said, opposite that of the Legacy of Kain series when it comes to old school games in general, I think start off with a Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I wouldn't really recommend playing these games on your PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 because the game, I can understand that it is well outdated, but however, it's still worth a play, in my personal opinion. But if you do own an Xbox Series 1 or X or S or a PlayStation 5 or a PS4, I do highly suggest and or highly recommend the Mass Effect Legendary Edition because you're not just getting Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, but however, you are going to be getting most of the DLC for all three games as well. So I do highly recommend play those as well because it's just awesome. That's all I can say. But I'm really glad that a lot of people are really liking my stuff. I greatly appreciate it. But if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. But I just think that I'm really looking forward to playing Mass Effect 3. I'm hoping to where I'm going to go when it comes to playing these games. I have thought about maybe making a lot more Mass Effect videos because I really love to talk more about this game series as a whole and vice versa. You know, I want to do as much as I can to just have people enjoy my stuff. But anyways, this is Jake from Citizen JV. Any comments or questions, like I said, please feel free. Put that like and subscribe and ring the notification bell. And by all means, you guys have a lot of fun out there. Like I said, I do highly recommend playing this series as a whole. And I think that you guys will have a lot of fun. Take care, guys. Peace.